everyone, welcome back. Today I'd like to give you 3 reasons why a good set of headphones can sometimes be better than a good set of studio monitors. So let's get into it. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would really help support the channel. So I wanted to follow up my last week's video with a quick discussion over why sometimes a good pair of headphones can actually be a better all-around solution for mixing classical guitar. So reason number 1 is that they're cheap. As you guys were quick to point out in the comments in my last video, a decent set of studio monitors, which these are Yamaha HS5s I believe, and those are about on the cheap end of studio monitors, but each speaker is at least a few $100s each. So you're at least like $500 in the hole if you want to listen to something in stereo. It's a little bit ridiculous. And that's why most of the time I recommend people start out with headphones. And I was really thinking this week that a lot of times headphones can just be a better all-around solution in general, especially for classical guitar, and I kind of want to explain why. And that's because my second reason you should get headphones is that the acoustics in these never change. So if you want to use studio monitors, you have to have a room big enough or well treated enough to mix in, meaning you've got acoustic treatment, the room dimensions aren't like a total square, which kind of puts out most bedrooms, apartments. You have to be able to listen at kind of a decent volume, which can disturb your neighbors, family members, all kinds of stuff. And you can spend a lot more money in just acoustic treatment than you did just on the speakers in the first place. And if you're somebody who's constantly moving, it can just be a huge pain. The thing with headphones is that the acoustics in these are always the same no matter where you are. So whether or not you're mixing your record at like a coffee shop at like Starbucks or Barnes & Noble, or you're at home, it sounds exactly the same. And also, if something ends up happening to your headphones, they're generally cheap enough to where you can get another one. Whereas if you're getting a set of studio monitors and something happens to the studio monitors, you're gonna be saving up for a little bit. The thing is too, is just like you would on studio monitors, if you mix and listen to enough music on your headphones, you get a sense of how those headphones sound. So when you listen to a set of headphones, specifically a studio set of headphones as opposed to like AirPods, Beats, consumer grade headphones, they generally have a flatter sound. And I do mean flat-er. A lot of times, manufacturers will advertise things as being ruler flat, perfect frequency response, no hypes, no hypes in the bass, no hypes in the high frequency. They want you to believe that they're completely flat across the board. And they kind of are, sort of, but if you listen to enough headphones of different manufacturers, you notice that there are differences between them. And if they were all ruler flat, obviously they would sound the same. But if you listen to enough of them, they don't. They all kind of have their own unique EQ curve and how they respond to things, how they deal with transients, stuff like that. So whether or not you're listening to like an Audio-Technica pair or you're listening to Sennheiser, and by the way, I really don't care between the brands, they both sound good, so just kind of pick which one's best in your price range. Audio-Technica are great, Sennheiser are great, Beyerdynamic make great headphones. But the point is you want to listen to the same headphones enough that you can work on them. Meaning that you can trust what you're hearing in the headphones to make decisions about EQ, panning, and mixing. If you're constantly switching headphones, you really can't get a good feel for how those headphones sound, and you can't really make educated decisions. Now, it's the same process when you work on studio monitors. You kind of have to know your room. Like I'm in this room, which isn't perfectly treated yet, still working on that. But the point is that I know how it sounds. I've listened to enough music that I know really, really well from listening to them in other systems, other rooms, that if I change something, I can pretty much know what I'm changing. And I'm not letting the room influence me as much. The great thing about headphones, though, is that they're really consistent from pair to pair. So if you replace this pair with another pair of the exact same model, they'll sound pretty much the same, and you can, like I said, mix anywhere. However, I will say mixing on headphones and mixing on studio monitors can be a little bit different, and you kind of have to know how to navigate the change. When you listen to studio monitors, the stereo image is a little bit different. And that's because when you're listening to both the left and the right speakers, both channels are getting in both ears. When you listen to anything on a pair of headphones, you have one cup on one ear, one cup on the other ear, and they never mix. The stuff that's in the right ear is only in the right ear, and things in the left ear is only in the left. It never really switches. Whereas when you listen to studio monitors, there's a little bit of crossing between the channels because you're in a room, sound bounces around, kind of gets delayed, and things can sound different. When you hard pan on studio monitors, it can sound wide but not uncomfortable. But whereas when you hard pan things on headphones, it can sound really uncomfortable. Because psychoacoustically, just how your brain interprets the signals, it sounds like the sounds behind your ears, and it can kind of give you a headache. Likewise, when things are panned down the center, it feels like things are just like right in the front of your forehead. It can be a little bit weird. The other thing you have to watch out for when mixing on headphones is go a little bit easier on the reverb than you think you need to. 9 times out of 10, if I mix something only on headphones and then I mix something on studio monitors, as soon as I switch back to the monitors, it just sounds way too wet. Like there's so much reverb. If it's not a classical thing, it's like too much delay. You just kind of want to back off or just check it. And that's kind of a nice thing too, is you can use the headphones to make EQ decisions, but you don't really need a super expensive pair of monitors to make reverb decisions. I think I could hear reverb on, a cheap set of computer speakers or something else versus, my nice Yamahas or something like that. So it's a really great way to save money and kind of a really efficient way to work. And the last thing I'll say about the differences between headphones and studio monitors is some people might bring up the bass response. A lot of times listening on monitors in a treated room will be a little bit different, but the thing is that if you're mixing classical guitar, there's not that much bass anyway. So I think for most of you guys that are out there watching my channel that are classical guitar players, you're probably better off just getting a good pair of headphones for your money rather than spend a lot of money on studio monitors and a set of headphones, and it just saves you money in the long run. Now my third point is basically why you would always need a pair of headphones anyway, so sometimes it's better just to buy headphones and then worry about the studio monitor thing a little bit later. And that's if you're recording and recording on location. So the thing is that when you're recording, you want to be able to hear what the space sounds like. So say you're recording in like a church or a concert hall, you can't really trust the speakers on your laptop or your MacBook or whatever you have. You really need to bring along a pair of headphones. And if you're mixing in these anyway, you have a really good reference for how the space is sounding as you're setting up the mics and you're getting your tones and things like that. Whereas you're not really guessing. You're not going like, well, this sounds good here. And then you listen back on the mic and it's too close, it has too much reverb, issues like that. The thing is too, is that even if you're recording in a home studio like this one, you really want some headphones if you want to be able to hear reverb or hear how you sound as you're recording. I know for me, I need that reverb for my own self-esteem. I hate recording in here where it's just completely dry. You hit a note, it dies. Like I like to feel at least a little bit inspired when I play, which I think helps me play better. So I love to have a nice closed back pair of headphones. And that brings me to my bonus fourth tip. There is a difference between closed back and open back headphones. If you don't know the difference, it's basically closed back headphones are basically normal headphones that you've probably seen before. They're just closed like plastic, metal, whatever, just to keep sound out while you're listening to it so you can hear the music. Open back headphones are basically only for mixing music because they usually have just like a cloth filter and the speakers just right on the other side of that. So if somebody's talking to you, you can hear them just like I'm talking to you now, plus with the music. So you really want to only mix in quiet environments. The point of having those is that generally speaking, they have better bass response because the cavity is open and bass frequencies can escape and it stops resonant frequencies and stuff inside the headphones. However, those you can't use for recording because if you hear reverb or yourself going through the headphones, it's going to get picked up in the mic. The other thing too is that they're generally way more expensive. Like Sennheiser HD 300s, which are like a little bit above the cheaper ones, are about $150. A pair of Sennheiser HD 600s, which are awesome, which I would love to have one day, are like $400 to $500 or $600 or something crazy. But point being, you just want to spend your money wisely and get a pair of closed back headphones that I think will be more durable and get you better use in the long run. But that's my time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you want me to cover in future videos like this one, please leave them in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.